Veterans Only is a national television news magazine for America's veterans and a presentation of Veterans Productions USA. Reporting for Veterans Only is Brian Patrick.
Have you ever dreamt of soaring through the sky, feeling total freedom, hearing nothing but the wind? It's a dream fulfilled for those lucky enough to own a glider. But if you're a quadriplegic or a paraplegic, is it an impossible dream? Not necessarily. Mike Victor reports on Freedom's Wings, a group that believes you don't have to be able to walk to be able to fly.
Okay.
This is the Van Sant Airport in the hills of eastern Pennsylvania. Here, there is unfolding a special story of courage with the power to inspire so many veterans who have lost the ability to walk, regain their independence aboard Freedom's Wings.
Army veteran Bob Kessler needs a little help getting from the wheelchair to the cockpit. He's a flight instructor with capable hands which make up for his useless legs.
So while I'm flying, if I wanted to make, say, a left turn, it's left rudder and left aileron with a little bit of back pressure. When we complete our turn, when we want to roll out, it's just a reversal of those movements. Now, if you were flying, you would use your feet and not this handle here. This hand would just be sitting in your lap.
This German-built Grobe glider with total hand controls is one of the flagships of Freedom's Wings International, a non-profit organization begun 11 years ago. Their mission is not only to train pilots, but to establish a network between disabled individuals and the able-bodied. To fly, one must have the strength to transfer into the plane and enough hand and arm muscle to operate the controls. Even those who cannot fly the plane are invited to take an inspirational ride.
We've had veterans come from the hospitals and all just for rides and have a picnic, a day out, and they go home just exuberant.
Former World War II Liberator pilot Bill McMakin is the air boss on this field. His job is complicated by a runway which is not quite flat, and clients which run the entire gamut of central nervous system disability, muscular dystrophy, cerebral palsy, and paralysis. He says they come here with a lot of courage and leave with even more confidence.
It proves to them that they can do it. And many of them get in very skeptical and don't even want to touch the controls. And that's the first thing we do is have them feel the controls so that they feel that the airplane isn't flying itself, that they have an input. And once they realize that they have an input, they know that we do, they know we're trained, so they lose that fear. And then pretty soon, before you know it, they're up there doing turns and enjoying it.
The physically challenged are not charged for the glider use, the power tow, or the flight lessons. The high expense of the operation is covered by supporters. On the evening before this day of soaring, 400 backers of Freedom's Wings gathered in nearby Clinton, New Jersey for their annual gala fundraiser. Many were able to see the glider for the first time and meet those whom they have been able to help. Former Air Force pilot Ray Temchus is the president of Freedom's Wings. He helped develop the hand-controlled plane, was the first to solo in it, and instruct other disabled student pilots. He recalls the tough going in the early days.
The first time, it wasn't that pleasurable, to tell you the truth. I was used to being in control, and we had this old rickety Schweitzer 233, and I sort of rattled around. Being a quadriplegic, I didn't have the sense of being stabilized in the airplane. It was also very difficult to get in and out of.
Freedom's Wings now has 3 of these $70,000 models, which are much more accommodating. The memory of the experience aloft lasts much longer than the ride.
For a lot of people in the chairs, just getting out of bed in the morning is a very difficult thing. It's very difficult for them to focus on something to get out of bed for. I think Freedom's Wings is a fantastic thing to get out of bed for.
Presently, there are about a dozen students. 5 others have been certified, the latest being Chris Lynch.
They have the ability to do things that most aircraft can't, and that is that you can sit back and be very, very relaxed in them and fly them so slow that they'll practically fall out of the air. I mean, so slow that you can almost walk faster than them if the winds are right. And then the next second, which can just, that can like just soothe your mind, relax yourself if that's what you feel like doing for the day. But then if you feel like getting a real adrenaline rush or something, you can just nose the thing over and crank it into a, a high G turn and just whip the thing around. So it runs like both ends of the spectrum and gives you the opportunity to do that within a minute or two of each other.
When Irv and Mary Sobel founded Freedom's Wings, it was not by their design. They were working at a glider display at an area mall when approached by a woman in a wheelchair.
When she came over, she went close to the airplane and put her hands on the wing. Just was almost like she was sort of caressing it, like she was going to put her head down on it as if it were a long-lost friend. And I said, have you ever flown before? I asked her if she had ever flown before, and she said, all her life she wanted to fly. All my life, she said, I wanted to do this, but I've been imprisoned in this wheelchair. And with that, she pounded on her wheelchair. It was like a burst of awareness that people in wheelchairs were like anyone else. There's no reason why somebody in a wheelchair wouldn't want to fly or have the same desires, hopes, ambitions as anyone else. So it was really that moment that we knew that Freedom's Wing was born.
Irv and Mary proposed their plan to Jim McManus, a huge man, handicapped, but willing to give it a try.
And we just break ground, and it's quiet, and the airplane is as if it's on a pillow. It's very, very quiet and still and no vibration, and we're not inches in the air, and I hear through the silence the sound of giggling. Here's this giant of a man giggling. And I was just so taken with this. It was just pure joy, you know, and as soon as he could compose himself, he said, there's my wheelchair, and I've made my escape, I'm free. And I thought, my God, that's worth everything in the world. We have to do this.
Since then, McManus expresses himself best when quoting from Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
For 1,000 years, we have scrabbled at the fish heads. But now we have a reason to live, to learn, to discover, to be free. We can learn to fly.
Connie Cullen's never soared, at least in body.
This is Connie Cullen's airplane. She died before she ever got a chance to fly, but her spirit is what started Freedom's Wings. And this is her airplane. We're going to go together this time, and she'll take care of all its pilots, I'm sure. This is the first single-placed hand-controlled sailplane in the world. So we're going to do our spin testing now on our first flight and initial testing on the airplane.
Good luck.
Thanks.
The one-seater, hand-controlled Schweitzer operated perfectly. Now Freedom's Wings has a total of 7 seats ready to take courageous spirits aloft.
Leave the damn wheelchair behind. I can go do something where the wheelchair is nowhere in sight and I don't need it, and I can do something that any able-bodied person can do. The only thing is I need a hand control, and that's it. What do you feel like? Freedom. Just total freedom. You just do what you want to do, go where you want to go, as long as the atmospheric conditions will support what you want to do.
It's a nice trade-in for the wheels, you know. It's nice to get up there, just leave it all behind, you know, forget about all of it. That's basically what it's like, you know, you just get out there, completely forget that you even need a chair, you know, you're just out there floating around. It's lots of fun. I mean, I'm always trying, every time I see somebody in a wheelchair, unless they're like real old and have somebody pushing them, you know, I stop them, you know, go into my spiel, get everybody up there, you know.
Soaring with the wind is unlike any other experience. The most severely handicapped can do it. This is not about science or aeronautics. It's about people and their dreams.
My hope for the future is that we can continue to expand and bring this fantastic therapeutic recreation experience to the entire world of disabled people.
I think Freedom's Wings International, the name of it, very much states the intent of this program to allow this to be for everybody throughout the world who's disabled. And I've been a benefit of it, getting my license now. I've been a beneficiary of this. And from that point on, I'd like to continue through, get my commercial rating this year, and hopefully my instructor's rating, so I can give back a little of what I've been able to receive up to now.
It takes dozens of supporters to keep freedom on its wings. Former Air Force pilot and FAA instructor Chuck Parker says he's never seen such character.
The ones that I've flown with do it well.
A lot of courage, huh?
A lot of courage. A lot of courage.
Somebody's got to help a person into the plane, and then the wheelchair's got to be taken away and then brought back when you land. And then the aircraft itself is 1,200 pounds with the 2 people in it, the pilot and the student, and the plane has to be pushed back to launch point from where you land. So that requires a couple of people.
This group is proof. The glider plane has brought many of them into a world they can live with. They stand by the slogan, "It's not my aptitude, but my attitude that determines my altitude."
We tell people if you can afford to contribute towards your flying, fine, but don't let that be a reason not to fly. Come out and fly with us. And good, wonderful people have so far sustained us, and we all contribute. The people who work hardest on the program contribute the most money as well, because this is just pure joy for us to be able to share.
Staring into the sky this spring morning, a man who has been locked to his wheelchair as long as he can remember. National Guard veteran Bill Wise has been nurturing his dream to fly. Today, he will live it.
Irv contacted me, and at first I was quite skeptical. I said, "You realize how paralyzed I am?" He said, well, he just laughed, and he said, "Yeah, I think so." And he said, I said, "I can't imagine myself in a plane of any kind." And he said, "Oh, just forget about that. We'll get you up there." And from that point on, I began literally to dream about sailing and soaring, and just like the Hawks and the Eagles. And pretty wonderful stuff, I think.
It's wonderful. He's been excited about it ever since he first heard about it. So I'm really happy for him. We've gone through a lot of trouble just to get here and be here. And I think we would have waited until midnight so he had a chance to fly today.
Time, Bill Wise now looks down on his wheelchair. A part-time writer, he plans to capture his experience for all to share.
He said just the thought of going up just took his breath away.
And he'll be able to fly. His hands are good enough. He doesn't need... Oh, look at him waving. Oh! And it won't be long. In a few flights, it'll be him making that landing.
It was for him, he said it was one of the greatest experiences he ever had, and for me that's a tremendous thrill. To be able to do something like this for someone who otherwise wouldn't get a chance, it's just incredible. It really is.
First few minutes I felt very calm and cool and was taking in the scenery, and as we progressed along I felt this spiritual uplift, and then my emotions took over and just welled up in me, and I just... the joy and the feeling was just overwhelming. It was really wonderful.
In Bucks County, Pennsylvania, Mike Victor reporting for Veterans Only.